Hello, 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 Sir David the Bard. I'm coming to you with my hat on. My hair started growing back, I don't know, it didn't come in all equal, it's kind of patches. Anyway, Sir David the Bard, I'm coming to you from my car. I got it parked outside the kangaroo cage here in Kangaroo City. And I wanted to bear my testimony. This is something I've been thinking about for a couple of months. Because all the years that I grew up in the Mormon church, my parents pushed me to get up and bear my testimony. And I was always taught, either overtly or covertly, that you always bear your testimony on Fast Sunday. So I got up every Fast Sunday. In fact, I had one bishop tell me, "You get up too much, sit down." I don't think he liked the things I said. Even when I was a member, I was unpopular. Anyway, I just I'm playing with the steering wheel. Both hands are right here. I'm playing with the steering wheel. Anyway, I want to bear my testimony. So I'm standing up now, and I'm at the podium, and there's 4 people at sacrament meeting, 800 babies, and I'm going to say this. I want to bear my testimony that I know the Mormon church is not true. I also want to say that I know the Book of Mormon is a farce. It was written copying some other documents, actually. Joseph Smith may have had some poetic ability, but Oliver Cowdery and others donated information for that book. There's no historical facts. There's no artifacts anywhere. There's no genealogical evidence, anything to support the Book of Mormon. I know the Book of Mormon is not true. I also know that President Monson, obviously this tape will be dated long after my death, but President Monson and all of the other prophets called by the Mormon church, oh God, I see missionaries. I see missionaries. Hey, missionaries, come here, missionaries. Missionaries, come here. I've got one. He's on the hook. Here we go. We've got 3 missionaries together. 3 missionaries. Oh God, this is going to be a good video. Anyway, hey guys, how you doing? Well, doing all right, doing all right. I just kind of wanted to know what you guys are thinking with some of the essays that have come out on the church.
The essays?
Are you familiar with those?
You talking about the gospel topics ones?
Yeah, the one on well, there's 11 of them, I think.
Yeah.
You're familiar with those? So
Yep.
You know that Joseph Smith was looking into a top hat with a rock in the bottom of it. That's okay.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Why not? You guys are funny. Where are you from?
From Samoa.
Samoa.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the United States. And where are you from?
Japan.
Japan? Well, welcome. I have a Filipino wife. Those Asian girls, God, they're beautiful. They're beautiful. They really are. So you guys, they got 3 of you together now, huh?
Yeah. Just for a while.
Is that because there's just not that many places to open up and go to?
You know, it's a transfer thing, so...
Yeah.
Oh, in the middle of a transfer?
Yeah, so one had to leave. His companion had to leave, so we're just
My
together.
companions leave early in the morning, then I stay with them.
Oh, okay.
Transfer on
And watch out for each other, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do.
And where are you from?
Well, I was raised in California, but I went to BYU. I graduated from BYU, and then I graduated from 2 other universities.
Oh, wow.
So, anyway,
Cool.
where are you guys from?
Arizona.
Arizona. My goodness. Lots of hot sun there.
Yes, there is.
So how long has the oldest missionary been out? When are you the senior guy?
Yeah, I've been out 23 months.
23 months? Man, I see go home all over your forehead. I see the baggage under your arms, get my... Oh, gosh. So how do you guys find it now that the internet is there and people are looking at rocks in a hat and they're looking at 14-year-old girls being married? What, do you guys get that when you knock on doors, that people are more informed?
Yep.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it easier.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Makes it a lot harder, actually.
Does it? And I'm not surprised. So, in this area where you've got mostly LDS, is it even harder to find people here?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In some ways it's easier, some ways it's harder.
Yeah.
Like there's less people to find, but because there's so many members, like that, it's like an easy fellowship. I mean, just because they're part of the neighborhood.
Do they send you to members that aren't active anymore?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Oh, they do. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. They didn't used to do that, but I guess now.
They do now.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I've lived a long time. I've been a member. I'm not a member now, but I was a member for many, many years, and a lot of things have changed. You guys have never heard of a cry room. The chapels used to have a room upstairs where they took the babies that were crying, and there was a glass that you could look down on the members and have the baby bang on the window, stuff like that. So
There you go.
a lot of things have changed. A lot of things have changed. Well, I wish you guys the best of luck. I hope it goes well for you. It's a difficult time to be out. I think you guys had 80,000 out about 2 or 3 months ago, and you're down to 40,000. So some have gone home, evidently. And are you guys over 18? You are. You speak Japanese?
Yes.
You have good English, very good. And Samoa, the fatter the women are, the better. Oh gosh, that's a wonderful culture. Your people are very, very gentle people. Very gentle people. In Japan, I'd love to go to Japan. I've been in China and a couple of places out there, the Philippines. My wife is traveling today. She's in France, but it is. She's a little Filipino girl that we met on the internet. In fact, it was an LDS website, and yeah, she was a returned missionary, and I married her, and then we adopted 2 little kids from the Philippines. A lot of poverty there, a lot of heartache and poverty. So, do you have a big family you come from?
Yeah, I have 5 sisters and 4 brothers.
So there's 10 of you.
10 of us.
Yeah, well, I've got 14 kids, so I know what your dad is trying to do. How many are in your family?
I only have 2 older brothers.
Oh, you're the baby?
Yes, I'm
I'm the oldest of 4.
4? Yeah, well, like I said, I wish you guys luck. I'm glad it's you and not me. I just, when they wanted me to go on a mission years and years ago, I said, nah, I don't like living with guys, and I really like my cars, as you can see, and that's not gone away, and I really like beautiful girls, and that hasn't gone away, so I didn't want to knock on doors. I had a friend who was in Nova Scotia on a mission, and I grew up with him, and he didn't know I was coming, and I went all the way to Nova Scotia, got on the planes, the trains, the railroads, and I walked in on him one day, knocked on the door. He was shocked. Just shocked that somebody could find him.
I'll bet he was.
All right, well, thanks for talking to me, guys. I hope that your lives go good. I know it's difficult for you right now. It's nice to have you from Japan. That's wonderful. You have a good day. Okay. I couldn't have staged 3 missionaries coming over to the car to talk to the bard. I hope you heard their end of the conversation. They very definitely said it was hard when people have the internet and they've read about a rock in the bottom of a hat. He said, why not? I said, well, why not? So anyway, they're sweet, they're cute, they're cult members. What can I say? Let me finish with my testimony. I didn't go on a mission, as you just heard. I like my cars, I like my girls, and I don't like living with men. Just ain't my deal, you know what I'm saying? I know that you have encouraged me to have way too many kids. I have 14 children, and you Mormons that write in and say, well, you didn't have to have 14, and you're right, I didn't. But I was inspired and told by the Mormon Church that I'm starting my kingdom right now, right here, and the more I have, the more there'll be in my kingdom. So like a goddamn fool, I just kept screwing everything that moved, including my wife. So I know that principle isn't true. You get 1 or 2 kids, maybe 3 kids. From my experience, that's about it. I know that the money that I sent to the Mormon church went for salaries for the big 15 up there. I know none of my money got into the humanitarian funds. We used to fast on Fast Sunday and give our money to the church and go without food while they're buying limousines and second and third houses. I know that the priesthood is not true. I've seen most people that get a blessing die. It makes it worse sometimes. And it's not their fault that the blessing doesn't work. That's what the Mormon church says, that it's their fault. I testify to you, it is not their fault, that it is a phony, baloney blessing, pouring oil on a person's head and giving them a blessing to live, or their arm to grow back, or their head not to fall off. That's silly. It's sadness. It's silly. I know that when I was in primary, I was brainwashed at a very, very early age to testify to the non-truths and the truths of the gospel, as the Mormons call it. It is not the gospel. The Mormons do worship Joseph Smith. If you take a look at their songbook, Praise to the Man. I didn't realize they did mention Jesus a couple of times. I remember when the bishop dropped the microphone. They used to hand the microphone around to the audience to bear their testimony. And I remember he dropped the microphone and he yelled, "Jesus Christ!" And I thought, God, maybe Jesus is in the room and I just can't see him. I heard those stories of people saying, yeah, the room was full of angels, but some of us couldn't see him. It depended upon our worthiness. Well, I never saw an angel, and I was worthy. I paid tithing 53 years. I didn't screw anybody except a lawfully, legally wedded wife. I went to the temple quite often. I became a temple worker at Los Angeles, and that's a farce. We sit around in the back talking about real estate and girls and marriages and all kinds of subjects that are really not gospel oriented. And a few of us were able to work the girls' side of the veil, women's side of the veil. I was one of them because I didn't give them the 6 points of fellowship. I think the other guys that were only allowed on the male were giving the 6 points of fellowship to the young girls there in the temple. I know the temple ceremony is mumbo jumbo. I know it's a patchwork from the Masons. I know that it was plagiarized by Joseph Smith. He became a Mason in Nauvoo. He became a super Mason. Usually it took like 4 or 5 years, but it took him 4 or 5 months and he became a super Mason. I know that marrying 14-year-old girls has nothing good about it at all. A 14-year-old you adopt, and then you treat them like a father. But Joseph Smith marrying sisters, one 14, one 16. 1/3 of his 40 women that he married were teenagers, calling men on missions and then screwing their wives and going over. It's just, we call it a clusterfuck. In construction, that's one of my old phrases, a clusterfuck. And Porter Rockwell going up to kill Governor Boggs, sent by Joseph Smith. And Brigham Young using the Danites, killing people. The Mountain Meadow Massacre, 120 people put their guns down, and the Mormons just shot every man, woman, and child. There were a couple of children that didn't get shot. Anyway, I want to bear you my testimony that I know none of it's true. And I've lived it. I've lived both sides, folks. I've lived both sides. I've been in the church for 50 years. It looks like I'm going to be out of the church for 50 years if I live that long. My life now is quiet. It's organized. It's not chaotic. It's comforting. I'm happy. It took me 2, 3, 4 years to finally become somewhat acclimated to being outside the bubble. Most of the Mormons believe that they're in a bubble and that they're not affected by the outside world. Well, when you get out of the Mormon church, you are affected by the outside world. So anyway, I want to make sure that I bear you my testimony that I've been in the Mormon church. I've been married in the temple, Manti Temple, Salt Lake Temple, and the Washington, D.C. Temple. And none of those marriages worked out. They were not even for time in eternity. There's just way too many mumble jumble things in the temple, raising your hand, bowing your head and say yes, giving all of you, promising to give all of your assets and your money to the Mormon Church under the auspices that it's a communal society, that they're going to use your money for good. And the 15 in Salt Lake have been using your money for good. They bought the City Creek Mall, $5 billion. How much money would that be in rice for hungry children throughout the world? Well, anyway, they're not honest. They're not faithful. They're dishonest. On Friday, on the days that after 2 o'clock on Fridays, every Mormon is over at the Mormon temple in Bountiful, and they've left their employers short, cut their work week short, and are dishonest. So anyway, I'd like to bear my testimony. I know it's not true. I know that Joseph Smith, had really serious pedophile problems. And every prophet since then has been a bozo. There's been no prophecies. None of them have been fulfilled because there aren't any. I want you to know that I've lived both parts of the Mormon Church. I've been in it. I've been out of it. And I want to bear testimony. Being out is much better. I'm happier. I feel like I'm going to live longer. I'm under much, much less stress. And my family life is happier. And generally, I'm just overwhelmed with happiness and joy because I'm not in that cult anymore. So anyway, remember the Pele Ale. Repeat it 3 times. Oh God, hear the words of my mouth. The true order of prayer, and health in the navel, marrow in the bones, strength in the loins and the sinews, power in the priesthood be upon me and upon my posterity through all generations of time and throughout all eternity. That is the name of the second token of the Melchizedek priesthood, the patriarchal grip, or sure sign of the nail. 3 times. Not 3 times. That's a song. What is wanted? What is wanted is truth. Truth. Undiluted and exact. That's what is wanted. Hey, the Bard had the missionaries show up. What better program could I produce than that? This Bard's gone.